My grandpa had type 2 diabetes, and when I was a little girl, I was fascinated with it. I would watch him bolus, check his glucose levels, and even pretend that I had diabetes just like him. I look back and I wonder if it was fate or just a coincidence that I would be diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. It wasn't until I was 19 that I really understood the struggles that diabetics face every single day. Needles, pricks, pokes, highs, lows, and everything in between. I honestly thought that my life was ruined forever, and I went into this downward spiral of mental health issues, into a dark place that I never thought that I could come back from. I was so scared when I was diagnosed. I didn't fully understand how my life was going to change, what my life was going to be like, and how much work I was in for. From age 19 to 24, I was filled with so much anger towards my illness. Why am I the only one in my family with type 1 diabetes? What did I do to deserve this? And I spent those years pretending as if I didn't have diabetes. I was constantly battling with anger and hate towards myself and towards my type 1 diabetes. In August 2019, I started to feel more comfortable with the idea that I was going to live with type 1 diabetes for the rest of my life. I didn't have any close friends who also had type 1 diabetes, so I took it upon myself to start looking for diabuddies online. I finally met up with a few people, one of those people being Michelle Lord. We talked about a lot of things, but the one thing that really impacted me was how she accepted her diabetes. She talked to me about how the Dexcom CGM system had really helped her manage her diabetes. After that conversation, I immediately went home and ordered the Dexcom G6 starter kit. I spent all of September being absolutely obsessed with the Dexcom G6. I literally walked around and showed it off to everybody who would listen to me. I had more peace of mind. I could finally see my glucose numbers whenever I wanted. I could see patterns in my glucose, and I was finally happy. I could finally start accepting my diabetes diagnosis because I knew I wasn't alone. I felt like the fear that had held me back since diagnosis was finally dissipating. With my newfound confidence, I decided that I was going to take the leap of faith and attend my very first Slipstream, which is an event for adults with type 1 diabetes. So I went 4 hours up north to Algonquin Park all by myself. I did not know anybody there, and I really didn't know what the weekend was going to be like, but I just knew that I had to be there. My Dexcom G6 helped me manage my diabetes the entire trip, and it was so nice to meet fellow type 1s that were sporting the same CGM. I made friends, learned more about myself, my diabetes, and the G6. And for the first time, I felt like I didn't have to continually explain myself or my illness. Everyone there already understood, and that was truly liberating. This event just affirmed to me that I could do anything that I wanted to do, and that the Dexcom G6 could support me in pursuing my goals. I felt fearless. I started going for bike rides and hikes by myself like I used to before my diagnosis. Before I started using the G6, I was terrified of exploring and going for adventures by myself because I had experienced so many hypoglycemic episodes that terrified me. I was no longer scared of going to sleep every night or worried about how other people would view me if I had an episode in class. My world began expanding, and I was finally emerging from the darkness, charging full speed ahead with the Dexcom G6 as my shield and sword. I felt like I was finally galloping towards something that I had not experienced in years: freedom. What is freedom? Is it being able to do what you want, when you want, or is it feeling like nothing in the world can touch you? For me, freedom was finally letting go of a heavy weight that I had been tied to since August 7th, 2014. Freedom is that feeling of soaring above any obstacle that stands in my way. Freedom is truly accepting and loving everything that comes into my life. Freedom for me was finally loving my diabetes. I had spent my early 20s trying to come to terms with the fact that my life would never be the same, that I would have diabetes for my entire life. Each day became easier for me to face mentally because I knew that I had a tool that would help me manage. It has allowed me to believe in myself and believe that I can conquer anything, even with diabetes. Living with type 1 diabetes is confusing, overwhelming, and scary at times. It can also be exhilarating, fun, loving, and freeing. The girl I was when I was 19 would never believe me if I were to tell her that we would love our diabetes. She probably would have been mad at me because for the first 5 years after my diagnosis, that was the only emotion I experienced. Over the last few years since having the Dexcom G6, my life has totally transformed physically, mentally, and emotionally. My diabetes management and my A1C has improved immensely since using the Dexcom G6 app because I can see patterns in my glucose and adjust accordingly. I've put the work in. The biggest and most important change for me since using the G6 has been the improvement in my mental health. I've become a much happier person because I have less worry and stress in my life. My outlook on my diabetes and the rest of my life has brightened. I look at all of the daily challenges that I face as a diabetic to be rewarding because it just shows me how strong and fierce diabetics are. If you're struggling with your diabetes and your mental health, then please talk to somebody, whether it be doctor, friends, family, loved one, or even in the comments down below. You are not alone and you are so extremely strong. Thank you to Dexcom Canada for sponsoring today's video. I'm so excited to be partnered with them, bringing you this video that has meant so much for me to tell my story and hopefully inspire some of you. Make sure to go check out the Dexcom G6. The link is in the description box down below, and make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, and let me know in the comments down below if this video resonated with you. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Love you. Bye.